Hey, if you're a homeowner in Puerto Rico, you are definitely going to want to pay attention to this. There's a brand new law that could totally change the game when you sell your house, and it could literally save you thousands of dollars. We're going to break down Law 180/2025 and what it all means for you.
What if I told you that the tax on a profit you make from selling your main home could be this number right here? Zero. Yep, a big fat zero. Not 10%, not 5%, zero. That is the huge, game-changing promise at the very heart of this new law.
And just so we're clear, this isn't some idea floating around. It's official. Law 180/2025 is on the books, and it's specifically amending Puerto Rico's incentives code. Its main target? The tax you pay when you sell your primary home. So let's dive into what this really means for you.
All right, so what's the core change here? It's actually a really simple but incredibly powerful shift in the tax code, and honestly, every single homeowner should know about it.
I mean, you really can't get more night and day than this. Before this law, if you sold your home and made a profit, you were looking at a 10% tax on that gain. Now, if you have a qualifying sale, that tax liability is completely gone. Poof, it's a total exemption.
So you probably noticed that key word there, qualifying. And that's super important because this amazing benefit doesn't apply to every single property you might sell. It's specifically for your principal residence. So let's break down exactly what the law says that is.
So, what counts as your main home? Well, the law gets very specific here, which makes sense, right? They want to make sure the benefit goes to the right people. It basically lays out two very clear paths to prove your property qualifies for this huge tax break.
Okay, so here are the two main ways it can work. First up, the most common one. You're selling your own home. The rule is you must have owned it and lived in it for at least 2 of the 5 years right before you sell. The second path is for inherited property. In that case, the person who passed away must have used it as their main home for 2 years before they died.
Now this is a big one, so listen closely. There's a critical detail here. For both scenarios, whether it was your home or one you inherited, the property could not have been rented out during that required 2-year period. Not for long-term rent, not for short-term vacation rentals, nothing. This is a key rule to make sure it's truly helping homeowners, not real estate investors.
So we have the basic definition down, but there's a little more to it. Let's dig into the nitty-gritty of who actually gets this benefit, and, just as importantly, who is specifically left out.
This timeline really helps visualize that main residency rule. You just look back at the 5-year window right before the date you sell your home. Did you live there as your main spot for any 2 of those 5 years? And remember, it doesn't have to be 2 years in a row, just a grand total of 2 years inside that 5-year window.
So you might be thinking, great, I meet the residency rule, I'm all set. Well, not so fast. Does this apply to absolutely everyone who meets that rule? The answer is actually no. The law was written with some very specific exclusions.
And here they are, the key exclusions. If you are a beneficiary of what used to be known as Law 22, that's the program designed to bring wealthy investors to the island with other tax breaks, then you are not eligible for this one. The whole point here seems to be about helping local residents, not people who are already getting other major tax incentives.
Okay, we've talked about the what and the how, but let's get into the why. Why did the government create this law in the first place? You know, understanding the motivation behind it gives us a much clearer picture of what they're trying to achieve.
And hey, the best way to understand the why is to go straight to the source. The law's own statement of purpose says it's designed to, quote, foster economic development, facilitate the acquisition of housing, and reduce its cost through tax incentives. Basically, they're hoping this sparks the economy and makes housing a little bit more affordable.
The law also talks about creating greater equity, or, fairness. And this is a really interesting point. Before, a local resident selling their home paid a 10% tax on their profit, but a non-resident seller had 15% withheld from the entire sale price, which is a totally different calculation. This new law just wipes the tax slate clean for local residents on their main home, trying to make the system feel a bit more balanced.
So when you boil it all down, the government is trying to do 3 main things here. 1, give the housing market a little kickstart for locals. 2, take some of that financial pressure off families when they need to sell and move. And 3, create what they see as a more fair and balanced tax system. All right, I know that was a lot of information. So let's wrap this up by hitting the most important things you absolutely need to take away from all of this.
First and foremost, the timing. This is really, really important.
This isn't retroactive. It's not for a sale you made last year. This new 0% tax exemption only applies to sales that happen in tax years that start after December 31st, 2024.
And here it is, your final mental checklist. If you can say yes to all of these questions, you are probably in a great position to get this huge tax benefit. Are you selling your primary home in Puerto Rico? Check. Did you live there for 2 of the last 5 years? Check. Was it not a rental during that time? Check. And finally, are you not a Law 22 beneficiary? If you can check all those boxes, this could be for you.
And that leaves us with the big question, right? The government's goal is to stimulate the market and help local families. So will getting rid of this tax barrier be the catalyst, the real boost that the island's housing market has been waiting for? Well, I guess only time will tell.